Hello out there, welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Sitting in the co-pilot seat with me tonight, none other than the Dark Wizard of Historical Knowledge himself. I should have said Gray Wizard there, but I was so enthralled by the special effect.
Yeah, he did all turn dark.
Yeah, I know. It was it's kind of fit the voice, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah, I was wanting to surprise you with
You
that.
did surprise me. I thought it was awesome.
So, Thursday night festivities again, my friend.
Yes.
Here we go. Want to give a shout out to William Edwards for his comment. Really appreciate you listening out there, folks. So anybody, we do read them if you put them up. We do check out the comments and stuff. Yesterday's show we recorded. I mean, the show's making me go all legit and shit, man. Like I was up in the morning to do a conference call with a physicist from the UK. What the fuck happened to me?
And we were interviewing professors before that, too, which is essentially the same.
But I wasn't getting up. Well, I guess we did get up kind of early, a couple morning on a weekend, too. No, okay, yeah, well, maybe I'm not so legit.
And hello, Mr.
Yeah, right. So if you get a chance, man, that show was phenomenal, folks. It's the one we just did with Shifu and his name's Gareth Samuel. It was really, really interesting guy, and I've been checking out some of his YouTube videos and stuff, and they're phenomenal. On the what's it called? See the path or see the pattern. See the pattern. He does these like super high end, real professionally well done video. Like I'm telling you, it looks like something you'd see on National Geographic or something, where he goes through some of these more, I guess I would call them by definition more obscure sort of physicists and past physicists and their theories, and sort of explains them, but brings them with a really fresh kind of update on how to visualize this stuff because of the way he does it. And then there's a lot of implications with some of these physicists from the past that had made discoveries that they feel were sort of overlooked. That has implications in some of the fields of universe cosmology and stuff that's going on today. So anyway,
that does happen.
It's fascinating fucking shit, man. I mean, it's really, really cool stuff. So, all right, man, you ready?
I am ready.
All right, this comes from CNET, CNET.com more specifically. Star Trek on Mars, NASA spots Starfleet logo in dune footprint. Have you heard about this yet?
No.
Oh, what kind of Trekkie are you, man? I'm one-upping you here.
I'm watching Star Trek, I guess.
You're actually watching the show, yeah.
I was going to ask, was it the Bertie array or something? You know?
NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter looks down on the red planet and sees all sorts of fantastical formations that resemble everything from Beaker the Muppet to Pac-Man.
Uh-huh.
A new MRO view will inspire you to whip out your Vulcan salute. That's corny. The MRO high-rise camera team at the University of Arizona on Wednesday highlighted a Martian sand dune formation that could be a doppelganger for the classic swooping Starfleet logo.
Live long and prosper.
And for the record, he's giving me Spock fingers.
Yeah.
He's not literally giving me the finger. He's giving me Spock
Giving
fingers.
the whole Spock fingers.
Quote, enterprising viewers will make the discovery that these features look conspicuously like a famous logo, the team quipped. The intriguing Mars formation has a long geological history. It started as a crescent-shaped dune that became an island in the sea of lava, but the sand eventually blew away in the wind. These are also called dune casts and record the presence of dunes that were surrounded by lava, planetary scientist Ross Bayer explains. Oh, so it's not like Starfleet actually exists or anything like that. That's a huge disappointment, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be Starfleet, though.
Is that right?
Yeah, we're heading to that future.
You think so?
Yeah. We've already claimed Mars.
Do you think
we got our symbol on it, right?
We claimed Mars? Oh, yeah, I guess so. We put a bunch of effectively junk on Mars so far. I mean, well, I guess it shouldn't. It's junk now, but it sent back data.
Well, I meant from the Starfleet perspective, we've already claimed Mars. Us Trekkies have.
How's that?
Well, there's our symbol on it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Right. I thought you. Okay, so
solidified in stone.
So I'm going all like Mars lander from NASA and shit like that. It's like I'm sure there's a flag on that somewhere. This comes from Futurism.
Oh wait. Okay, so wasn't it 1977 when they had the first flyover in the Cydonia region of Mars where they thought they seen the face? And then later they went on to have a 5-sided pyramid, a dolphin effigy, the face, and a city. It's true.
I know what you're talking about, but I'm certain that I don't know what the dates of that stuff actually was.
I think the first one was 1977.
Okay.
So there's that whole history of that, and of course Edgar Cayce, who was known as the Sleeping Prophet, who made the card game Pit that we played up here.
Yeah, it's fun.
He had speculated that the Atlanteans came from Mars when Mars was dying and colonized Atlantis, which later, of course, sank below the sea, and then they spread out like cities that they had. What is it called when you make a new city? It's like skipped my mind, like anyway, Carthage and Egypt was supposed to be these sister cities of Atlantis.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was all Edgar Cayce saying this, though. This wasn't anything that was recorded by.
Yeah. It was recorded by, I think, his secretary, because he would go into like a trance-like state and he would talk about it and she'd write it down. And like there's supposed to be a library detailing this Egyptian/Atlantean/Martian history underneath the Pall of the Sphinx.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah.
The second Sphinx, though, now, right? Because now there's supposed to be 2 Sphinxes, and there's only one, but they think that I seen something where they're speculating that they're speculating. When I say they, let's put this in big fat air quotes, that they found the second platform for the second Sphinx, which is to the left of the pyramid if you're looking forward at the Sphinx.
And that may be the case because they actually did dig under the main Sphinx, and while they did not find a library, they did find an underground kind of temple to Osiris, and it had a
boat in it or something.
It had a big sarcophagus in it that had been put underwater. Like there was a pool with like water in it, and there was chains, like not chains, but there was like things that held the sarcophagus, and it was underwater.
Strange.
Yeah, but that's just in their mythology, though. I mean, that's how they would have done that anyways. But it's like absolutely awesome to see, man.
No ancient aliens implications whatsoever.
No, but
it was
just more bizarre. It's still bizarre. I mean,
it is kind of bizarre. Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, it was really cool watching it. But yeah, I didn't want to just skip over the Mars Delta symbol without talking about the Cydonia region that has the face and the dolphin effigy and the city and the 5-sided pyramid. I used that in the game.
According to Futurism, though, new study, alien life is probably way rarer than we thought.
I've been saying this.
So has if life is so prolific, where is it? Or so
the Fermi paradox. Enrico Fermi.
Researchers at the University of California, Riverside say that thanks to excessive toxic gases, more than half of the planets we initially thought could harbor life, alien life, are probably dead zones, or at least couldn't host life as we know it. The so-called habitable zone, a safe zone where planets are at a distance from their star that could allow them to hold liquid water, was traditionally thought to be where extraterrestrial life was most likely to develop. But the researchers detailed in a paper published in the Astrophysical Journal today that taking into account toxic levels of atmospheric carbon monoxide and dioxide, more than half of the planets in that habitable zone wouldn't be able to hold complex life such as humans and animals. So that's the answer to the question, man. Quote, "This is the first time the physiological limits of life on Earth have been considered to predict the distribution of complex life elsewhere in the universe," said Timothy Lyons, one of the study's co-authors, in a statement. Quote, "Our results indicate that complex ecosystems like ours cannot exist in most regions of the habitable zone as traditionally defined."
Yeah, we're having trouble keeping ours in check.
No shit, right?
And technically Venus and Mars, I think, are on the inner and outer edge of the habitable zone.
We're having problems keeping ours in check.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. It's like, it's not easy.
Understatement of the fucking year, man.
It's getting a little out of hand, guys. There ain't no other fucking place in the universe. We better fix it.
Quote, "Our discoveries provide one way to decide which of these myriad planets we should observe in more detail, said Christopher Reinhardt, UCR grad and co-author of the study. Now, he's probably right about that.
Actually, it's not.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm nitpicking. I'm pretty sure that the definition of the word myriad means number without end, whereas like a plethora is an end. So like, isn't there really just a finite number of planets? Because here we are going back to Douglas Adams. If there's an infinite number of planets and only part of those planets have life, if you divide a finite number by an infinite number, it's like next to zero as you can get.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, any life that you encounter in the universe is obviously the figment of a deranged imagination.
And you're saying that the math sort of actually supports that.
I'm just being kind of facetious about it. Because he said, like, I guess he's looking at it from an infinite number of planets, and I don't see the universe as being infinite.
Okay.
There's like the Hubble view. There's definitely an end to at least stars and planets in the universe. What's beyond that may go on for infinity. Space-time may go on for infinity, but the universe, which I consider to be planets and stars and stuff, galaxies, does not go on for an eternity. There's an edge to that, and it's expanding out into space-time.
Okay.
So that means there's a finite number of planets out there, and the word myriad means a non-ending amount of something, an infinite amount of something. So I disagree with his terminology of words.
Okay,
he's implying
you're also not just being a grammar Nazi here.
I'm pretty much just being a grammar Nazi, but it made me think of the Douglas Adams books, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where he was jokingly saying that there was a infinite number of planets in the universe, but since not all of them were habited with intelligent life, that if you were trying to find the average number of intelligent life in the universe, it was pretty much zero because it was an infinite number divided by a finite number.
Yeah, they do a real good job of actually displaying. I think in the beginning of the movie, they show the math, like they do those little cartoons.
Yeah.
Which was I thought they did. I don't know if you liked it or not, but I love the movie they made about it.
But read that sentence again, because I think I just disagree fundamentally with what he's saying.
He says something way down here. Our discoveries provide one way to decide which of these myriad planets we should observe in more detail.
Yeah, I think it's a bad turn of phrase. I think plethora would have been better there. Please continue.
Now we're...
Oh, my.
Jeez.
That probably hurt some people out there with that.
I'm proud of you, Eric.
Thank you.
Artificial islands older than Stonehenge stump scientists. A study of chronogs in Scotland's outer Hebrides, reveals some were built more than 3,000 years earlier than previously thought. But what purpose did they serve? Well, let's find out.
Yeah.
This comes from National Geographic. When it comes to studying Neolithic Britain, a bit of archaeological mystery is to be expected, since Neolithic farmers existed long before written language made its way to the British Isles. The only records of their lives are the things they left behind. And while they did leave us a lot of monuments that took, well, monumental effort to build, think Stonehenge or the stone circles of Orkney, the cultural practices and deeper intentions behind these sites are largely unknown. Now it looks like there may potentially be a whole new type of Neolithic monument for archaeologists to scratch their heads over. Cranogs. Crannogs. How would you pronounce that? Poorly.
Yep.
Artificial islands commonly known as cranogs.
I like cranogs.
Okay, cranogs dot hundreds of Scottish and Irish lakes and waterways. Until now, researchers thought most were built when people in the Iron Age created stone causeways and dwellings in the middle of bodies of water. But a new paper published today in the Journal of Antiquity suggests that at least some of Scotland's nearly 600 cranogs
It sounds good.
Are much older. Nearly 3,000 years older, putting them firmly in the Neolithic era. What's more, the artifacts that help push back the date of the cranogs into the far deeper past may also point to a kind of behavior not previously suspected in the prehistoric period. Ooh, here comes the juicy stuff. A possibility that some cranogs may date back as far as the Neolithic first arose in the 1980s when archaeologists excavating an Iron Age islet and a loch on Scotland's northeast island realized that they were looking at a Neolithic site instead. You like it? I said east. But though researchers suspected it wasn't the only case, searchers of cranogs in subsequent years yielded no evidence of Neolithic origins. That changed in 2012 when a local driver found distinctively Neolithic pottery. That changed in 2012 when a local diver found distinctively. Man,
Wait, let me recap this for a minute. There was a farmer who was talking to a driver of animals of some sort,
and then he jumped in the lake,
and there was an issue there. Okay,
but what he found was distinctively Neolithic pottery in the water around Cranogs and the Outer Hebrides, the windswept islands off of Scotland's western mainland. Local museum officials and archaeologists joined in the search and eventually identified 5 artificially constructed islets with Neolithic origins based on radiocarbon dating of Stone Age pottery and or ancient timbers discovered near the edges of the artificial structures.
Well, first I want to say that you're right with Farmer. I think that's probably the first article or thing I've ever heard or read that didn't start with something like a farmer was out plowing his field and he found something, or
a driver, right?
Yeah, it's usually like a very agrarian thing. Yeah. However, I have mentioned many times on this show that there's going to be a lot more underwater.
Yeah, that's the next frontier, really.
Yeah, underwater archaeology and satellite archaeology.
You know what's really cool about that shit, though? Is it's kind of like the stuff that they're using the laser interferometry and LiDAR and shit in South America and in the deserts
to find stuff,
because they're finding these sites completely unadulterated.
Yep.
And the ocean ones are even better in some ways at preserving things.
And it doesn't seem surprising that they would find these things to be Neolithic. I mean, the Neolithic people created music. They were known to carve flutes out of woolly mammoth tusks.
Right.
I mean, you got to be badass enough to take down a woolly mammoth with pretty much a rock tied to a stick, and then when you're done, you're going to eat it and make a flute out of its tusk and just have it and make a little ditty. You know what I mean?
Like imagination, definitely.
There
going
is.
On
they
there,
were the
right?
first to create art. There's all the cave art in the Neanderthal Valley as examples of that. And so, finding pottery is not necessarily surprising, or even artificial islands. And almost any megalithic structure that was built from that period onward has something to do with religion. I can't think of one that doesn't.
This is the shit that I like, because this makes me like, with people like Graham Hancock, who believe in, or say that there's been multiple mass extinctions that go back, and there's been multiple iterances of civilization on this planet. We just, according to what we've been able to dig up right now, we're probably one of the most advanced. So we've been in a really calm period of shit like interstellar rocks smacking the planet, just arbitrarily and different stuff, right? So that's what I like about this, because this is starting to push those timelines back now.
Yeah.
And then the stuff that you're definitely talking about, like the underwater archaeology and shit, it's the stuff they're pulling up from that city, that Egyptian city that's underwater now.
Yep.
It's just amazing.
And they found the ancient city of Ubar, which was described in the Quran, and they had no idea where. Nobody had seen it in any way. But when they got far enough out in orbit, and they were using a satellite to take pictures, they were able to find not only the city, but all of the ancient trade routes that were the main trade routes that led to that city. So they got not just the information of the city, which you would on any archaeological dig, but they also got almost crazy information on the patterns of trade and how many people, because being able to tell how prevalent this road was from orbit all this time and stuff. There's so much information that they were able to find out. They found, of course, those dried up riverbeds of the Gihon and the Pihon described in the book of, I believe, Genesis, where they talk about Eden and stuff.
Right. Now they know where those rivers are.
Presumably. They think that's what they are.
Presumably.
Yeah, presumably.
That's what I love. My addiction to history, if my history teacher had just told me in high school, because I hated history and this kind of stuff in school, whatever, right? But if he told me that, hey, by the way, if you learn this shit, it'll help you figure out all the bullshit that you've been taught your whole life.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, and how this all connects together. I would have been a lot more interested, because that's one of the things I love about archaeology and science, is how it's undoing so many like preconceived what am I trying to say here? Like, the idioms that we get told and the things that get passed
just like
down
cavemen and stuff. Like the idea that, 20 or 30 years ago, people had a very stereotypical viewpoint of the Neolithic people. They didn't consider them to be smart or creative or anything. But then through then and now, they found out that they essentially invented art and music and weapons. They were real functioning human beings. And very creative. Like they were able to store food in a refrigerated, like, sort of pit that they would dig, so they'd go down to the permafrost and they would throw meat down there to keep it cold. What else? There's some crazy things. They had sewing. They made jewelry.
Well, they dropped acid, smoked,
possibly,
drank DMT. No, I think it's official now.
I would say probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like they were partying, man.
Yeah,
they were living life.
Using fire, and what else was it? Because I love the way. Hey, and they were using fire. It was great. It's they were the first people that we have burial signs from, where they had buried their dead and they had put flowers, and we found pollen in the bones of the dead from species of flowers that were nowhere in that area. So they had like either cultivated them or kept them until someone was dead, and then they would ritualistically throw these flowers in on there. So it's like the first signs of ritualism and religion, and there's a big blending with the whole concept of music and art there and all that. So
for sure.
And of course, obviously, we interbred with these people and perhaps took those traits from that.
Well, this kind of goes to that thing that I've heard that now there's like this breakout sort of theory that life may have actually began as we know it in Europe and not in Africa or the Fertile Crescent, and that it looks like there's cultures and societies that go back even further than that.
Yeah, because some of the things that point to that is that we found a token system that was like a monetary system that predated actual coins, and that was used, and we don't understand the symbolism on it. But there's also those Gaia figures that have been found like all the way from Siberia to Australia, where it's like the woman figure that's like a heavy
set. Yeah, that turns up a lot, doesn't it?
Well, from Siberia to Australia. I mean, so it's, it would be interesting if you could find that those things were somehow came out of the African Valley or somewhere else. But certainly, my point only being is that before written history, we do have evidence that there was a huge Neolithic network.
Right.
With these tokens and these symbols and things. So, and the art.
And I think we're way beyond under the understanding that these cultures were isolated from each other in any real way.
Yeah, no, not at all.
They traded and moved around a lot more,
as we always have.
Yeah,
it's not just like one day we just started trading and stuff, but
like Columbus discovered America. How do you fucking discover a country that there are already people there?
Yeah, and a lot of people bring good points up that it's probably been visited by several people before we ever did. Obviously Vikings, but possibly other people as well.
Well, that's at Arthurian lore is and there's archaeology, I guess, in Kentucky and places that support this theory. So
and you can't deny it because things are discovered all the time, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, what we were talking about reminds me a little bit of Göbekli Tepe. Yep. When they're talking about things being pushed back and stuff, it's like really what we're seeing is a lot more evidence that we just haven't went back far enough.
We haven't
dug deep enough. Yeah, with we can only go so much with conventional shovels. It's time for that LiDAR and the satellite and the underwater archaeology so that we can expand our timeline. Fill it in.
Yeah. This one comes from Big Think. Canadian company to build plant that will remove CO2 from atmosphere and convert it to fuel. The Bill Gates-backed venture promises to remove CO2 from the atmosphere at a rate of under $100 per ton. To hit the international goal of keeping global warming below 2 degrees Celsius this century, reducing emissions and using renewable energies probably won't be enough. That's why people are becoming increasingly interested.
People just won't stop, is what they're saying.
But here again, man, this goes. This is my theme with all this kind of shit. The scientists are still going to save you, dumb fucks.
Yep,
they still are.
Yeah, because nobody wants to die, right?
Yeah. So they're still going to do it. They're still going to come up with ways to fix this. I guarantee it. No matter how fucking stupid we are as a populace at large, it's going to be the scientists and the engineers that are going to save the day yet again.
And you know, I know I'm going to kind of bridge this here.
I step off my soapbox here.
No, you're right. You're right. And I absolutely agree with that. And this is a manifestation of that. Go on before I talk about this.
No, that's why people are becoming increasingly interested in negative emissions technologies, which suck CO2 out of the atmosphere and stored underground or converted into carbon neutral fuel. These processes have been too costly to implement on a large scale, however, but that might change soon. Carbon Engineering Limited, a Canada-based company that's been running a pilot carbon capture program since 2015, just raised enough money to build its first commercial-scale negative emissions facility. The company says its systems can now remove CO2 from the atmosphere at a rate of under $100 per ton, what's long been considered the benchmark for negative emissions technology to be cost-effective. Quote, a financial investor invests because they like your business plan. We were able to bring some pretty big Silicon Valley venture capital to us, said Carbon Engineering President and CEO Steve Oldham.
I bet it sounds so Jetsons.
It does, right?
It's like a cube that just sucks stuff out of the air and makes fuel. It's like, yeah, I'll back that, man. Get that on a Kickstarter.
Oh, no shit, right? Carbon Engineering says one of its commercial plants would occupy 30 acres of land and be able to pull 1 megaton of CO2 from the atmosphere per year. Oldham said that's equivalent to planting about 40 million trees.
That's about twice the size as the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Here's a question of economics. How many trees can you plant on 30 acres?
I don't know, but I equate it to with the pyramid. That's like 2 of those. A pyramid's about 14 acres at its base. The Great Pyramid. Yeah. So 30 is roughly about 2.
Maybe that's what the pyramids were originally used for.
I doubt it.
Terraform.
Look, have you? I don't know if you even got this in your bag of news or not, but did you hear about the bacteria that they discovered in China in a trash dump?
That eats plastic?
Yeah.
Yeah, we covered that on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you hear about
they mutated it?
Okay, right, yeah.
Yes.
So we talked about
they
that.
They inadvertently No, I mean, I don't think...
I don't remember talking about it, but I thought you were telling me we did.
I may have covered it on a solo cast, is what I'm saying.
Did you hear about the bees that were making their nests entirely out of plastic grocery?
Yeah. Grocery bags, yeah.
It's like the earth is kind of helping out too. It's like, oh yeah, you're going to need some shit to eat that plastic.
Yeah. You're gonna yeah, it tries to find... Well, that's the big George Carlin, one of the big George Carlin bits is that we're not killing the planet.
It's going to kill us.
We're killing ourselves.
Yeah.
The planet will be just fine once we're all dead and we stop polluting it. It'll eventually reach...
It'll shake us off of itself like a dog shaking off fleas.
That's what he said. Yeah, like a bad case of the fleas.
I remember that,
yeah. Yep. And then it'll just there'll be another iteration.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
It'll just be another iteration.
But the sadness here and the irony is that we probably for the first time in history have the means of controlling our environment enough to not let that happen.
There's no problem we have societal-wise in the world today that we don't already have the technology to fix.
Yep.
That's just a fact. It's true.
We're talking about it right now.
Yeah. It's just economics, man.
And the Earth's helping too. It's trying to help. It's using what we got.
The company's also able to convert captured carbon into fuel through a process it calls air-to-fuels.
Nice.
Very novel. Boy, they thought about that one for a while.
Yeah, they did.
Which involves combining captured CO2 with hydrogen from water. This process requires a lot of electricity, but Carbon Engineering uses renewable hydropower, meaning the resulting fuel ends up being carbon neutral when burned. What's most interesting about the fuel is that the company says it can be used by existing cars, trucks, and planes without requiring any modifications to the vehicles. Well, that would get really interesting, right?
Yeah.
In the near future, Carbon Engineering plans to build 1 or 2 plants in order to see how the designs work out. The idea is to scale aggressively, but not recklessly, Oldham said. Quote, our technology is ready to go to market, but we don't want to end up in a situation where we miss something and we have to fix it 5 or 6 different plants at once.
So we're done.
We're really good. Smart. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, we're getting...
Well, again, no, there's technology for sure.
Well, see, what I say, we're a little check. We got to get it back in check.
Yeah. And again, who's fixing it?
The scientists and the engineers.
Is it politicians?
They're not fixing anything.
Is it preachers and religion?
They're not helping anything.
No. So who's fixing it again?
Scientists and engineers.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
People with ideas, people with the ability to transfer that into a materialistic thing out of thin air.
Okay, so have you been hearing about deep fake AI?
I seen that somebody put Arnold Schwarzenegger's or fucking Stallone's face instead of Schwarzenegger's face on the Terminator. That's what I heard.
Well, there's a bunch of them that are coming out now, and there was one that came out. It was an altered video of a politician that made the politician look like they were drunk while they were talking. And Facebook was like, nope, we're not taking that down. And it was an altered video, basically. So someone went out and made a video of Mark Zuckerberg and stuck it on Facebook.
Nice.
Misrepresenting the things he says. This deep fake of Mark Zuckerberg tests Facebook's fake video policies. This is from Vice News. A fake video of Mark Zuckerberg giving a sinister speech about the power of Facebook has been posted to Instagram. The company previously said it would not remove this type of video. So that is trolling
in the most excellent, highest form.
Oh, dude, when I see it, I just gotta marvel at it.
I think we should at least hear part of it.
There should be awards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, but I don't have the shit hooked up to stream this into the podcast.
Snark Award.
Two artists and an advertising company created a deep fake of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg saying things he never said and uploaded it to Instagram. Hey, yeah. The video, created by artist Bill Posters and Daniel Howe in partnership with advertising company Canny, shows Mark Zuckerberg sitting at a desk seemingly giving a sinister speech about Facebook's power. The video is framed with broadcast cheer-ons that say, quote, "We're increasing transparency on ads," end quote, to make it look like it's part of a news segment. On Tuesday evenings, CBS requested that Facebook take down the video as it displays, quote, "an unauthorized use of the CBSN trademark," a spokesperson said.
Somebody's looking through a bunch of books. Oh my God, we gotta stop. I think they're infringing on this thing right here. You gotta stop because you're doing, you know what I mean?
Lawyers.
Yeah, someone's looking.
Lawyers, guns, and money, man. Imagine this for a second. One man with total control of billions of people's stolen data, all their secrets, their lives, and their futures. Zuckerberg's likeness says in the video, quote, "I owe it all to Spectre. Spectre showed me that whoever controls the data controls the future," end quote. He's like a Marvel villain.
Yeah, he is.
The original real video is from September 2017, address Zuckerberg gave about Russian election interference on Facebook. The caption of the Instagram post says it's created using Canny AI's video dialogue replacement technology.
Oh, I've heard of that.
The deepfake of Zuckerberg is one of several made by Canny in a collaboration with posters, including ones of Kim Kardashian and Donald Trump as part of Spectre, an exhibition that took place as part of the Sheffield Doc Fest in the UK. So this is an interesting time we live in, man, because so these things are convincing now. They're only going to get better.
Sure.
I mean, it's going to get to the point where you can just do it in your phone and it'll change your voice and your face and everything. And you can make a video of anybody saying fucking anything.
Probably so. It'll be like remixes, like they remix songs and samples.
It's a big thing now too in pornography because they take famous actresses' faces and put them on. Or
of course they do
alarming ones. You know, you could end up with some like really strange ones.
Apparently, porn's big business. Whether it's robots, artificial intelligences, or
dude, it's
deep
the perfect
fake.
interpretation of society at large.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding. Because I
and
see
those scientists.
Huh?
Those scientists, remember, that were studying.
It's comedy and pornography.
Yeah,
those are if you want to know a society, know what they're into, what kind of kink they're into,
what kind of kink and what kind of humor,
they're into, and you have everything you need to know about them, right?
Well, at least you know one for me.
You don't comedy.
Comedy.
Humor, yes.
Yes.
Let's be clear. Jesus Christ. And that's the end of No Shitcast. I'm like the end of the show, period.
Where'd Eric go? Well, that's going to be not on the show anymore. He's busy.
This comes from Unilad. New Netflix film terrorizes fans with disturbing look into the future. There's nothing we love more than sitting down to have our minds truly fucked by a good sci-fi thriller on Netflix, and the streaming giant's latest edition seems set to do exactly that. Thriller fans have been left shaken by I Am Mother, which follows the life of Daughter, a teenage girl raised underground by a caring robot called Mother in a bid to repopulate the Earth after mankind went extinct.
Wait, what's this got to do with Michael Jackson?
Where'd you see Michael Jackson?
No, you said Thriller fans.
Oh, wah, wah,
Yeah,
wah,
wah, wah.
Dude, that was a dad joke. Holy shit.
Anyhow.
Ouch.
It's terrible. I love it.
However, their heartwarming relationship is threatened when an injured stranger called Woman, very creative, turns up with some pretty disturbing news.
Hello, I'm Eve.
Daughter slowly starts to question whether Mother is really the kind matriarch she's always believed her to be upon hearing Woman's message. The film, which some have suggested is an alarming view into the future, has left baffled viewers concerned over the ever-growing relationship between humans and our reliance on technology. Ever since its Netflix release on June 7th, viewers have been rushing to Twitter to share their combination of confusion, disturbance, and sheer horror. One viewer wrote, hashtag I Am Mother is disturbing and provocative. Some unsettling ideas are explored by this movie. Scenes between the robot and daughter are beautifully shot. Another added, I Am Mother on Netflix blew my fucking mind. Scary because it's a dystopian AI future that humanity is headed towards if we aren't careful. I watched I Am Mother last night and my mind is still fucked from it, a third wrote. Makes me want to see it.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
The dystopian thriller stars Clara Rugard, Daughter, Rose Brine, Mother, and Hilary Swank, Woman, and has been making waves ever since its premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in January of this year. So far, the film has received an impressive 90% on movie rating sites Rotten Tomatoes and has been praised for being suspenseful, well-acted, and intelligent. So check that out.
And if you want to see the opposite of that, I hear the lowest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes is Troll 2.
It's that bad, huh? That's got Jennifer Aniston in it, doesn't it? No.
Is that? It's got nobody probably anyone knows. Like they literally, I got the disc, right? And
wait a minute, Troll. There's a cult following behind that. They made a documentary about people that were like showing up at Comic Cons and stuff for that because it has like the actors and stuff that was in it, didn't they? Yeah. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's strange.
It's really strange.
One of the guys that was in that movie was literally let out of an asylum to do his parts.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's really not even an actor.
No, that's, well, I mean, or is it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's cheap, I guess.
Look, I started to read this one the other night, but I read an article on Popular Science that was about the moon that was so horrible that it pissed me off. And then this article or another article about this was next, and I just was like,
I don't want to know more about the moon.
So I'm going to give us another shot now that you're here, okay? This is from Unilad. Massive anomaly 5 times bigger than Hawaii discovered on the moon.
Anomaly.
What's that mean?
You know, like something not right?
Not normal?
Not normal, yeah.
Well, how do you know
anomalous?
Something like,
anomalous?
That's an anomaly. Well, no, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just always been that way. Does that make it an anomaly just because it's different?
Only from your perspective.
Yeah, right. It's not known exactly what that something is, although at the moment it's being described as a large excess of mass. The mission is now on to find out exactly what this anomaly is. It's like the moon has a tumor.
Yeah.
With a mass equivalent to a pile of metal 5 times the size of Hawaii, the mysterious anomaly sits at least 180 miles beneath the South Pole Basin, which we can't see from Earth. Well, that's convenient. The South Pole Aitken Basin, as seen above in blues and purples, is a giant impact crater on the moon's surface from billions of years ago. Oh, hey, I think we figured out what's there. In research published by Geophysical Research Letters as per National Geographic, lead author Peter James of Baylor University notes the anomaly is likely related to the crater's formation. Duh. Imagine taking a pile of metal 5 times larger than the big island of Hawaii, burying it underground. That's roughly how much unexpected mass we detected. So doesn't that just say a big-ass metallic rock smacked the fucking moon at some point and it went like molten and now it's like 180 miles beneath the
That's possible,
surface?
but that's not why I think it's there.
Oh, do tell.
Well, I mean, it would be Okay, think of how long it's been since we've been hit by an asteroid that big, right? And that was something strange and out of the blue, right?
Okay.
Because the universe is pretty vast, right? So it's hard to actually have a planet get hit because it's just a 1 in a million chance that the rock's going to hit the planet, right? And the planet's fairly large compared to the moon. So it would be even more astronomically crazy to think that a rock that big would hit the moon. It could happen. It's absolutely could happen, but it's astronomically improbable. It's much more likely that it's going to help prove that the moon was originally from the Earth, because there's a lot of proof that shows that the Earth was hit by a large rock and lost the moon.
Like a chunk of the Earth flew off, and then they both turned into a planetary.
Yeah.
That like circles it.
Because we got really good proof that the moon was closer to the planet.
Yeah.
Long time ago, even before human life, and that the days were faster.
Yeah.
And they've been slowing down.
Okay.
Because the moon orbits opposite the way the Earth spins, and it drags on it, and it's been slowing it down ever since.
The Earth's been slowing the moon down.
No, the moon has been slowing the Earth down. Yeah.
And then the Earth would be subsequently also speeding the moon up.
Well, it's pushing it further out of orbit. It moves about an inch or so every year further away from the Earth. So as it gets further and further away, it's the days will probably just level out, but they've been getting longer, they think, because they've been looking at some kind of gem or stone or crystal. I can't remember what it was, but this thing like does two different things. It does one while it's in light and one while it's in darkness, right? And the strata that created on these minerals were a lot quicker. That looked like there used to be 6-hour days.
Holy shit.
And
at night, 6-hour nights. Subsequently, right? Like day, night.
Yeah. And that they've gotten longer. And that's why we have like our leap year and our weird calendar, because it's not an exact figure and it's not a stationary figure. Yeah, right. It's going to change.
Yeah. I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson explain this one time. I never understood this, but that the rotation of the Earth is a day, and we divide that up into 24 hours, roughly. However, the trip around the sun does not take 365 of those 24-hour days. It's not exactly 365.
That's how you end up with sidereal astrology.
Okay.
It's a type of astrology that takes that situation into effect.
Okay.
Which is just interesting. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of different kinds of mathematical astrology.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
That's why there's really kind of two different clocks.
Yeah.
There's our yearly clock, and then there's a daily clock, but they're not synchronized. So it changes over time. Like things move out of position. It's just not the same thing over and over and over again because of that. The shit that we see in the sky and stuff like that, right? There's what do they call it? A regression? Or procession.
Procession. Yeah.
And it has to do with that kind of...
Yeah, the wobble of the spin. Yeah.
This comes from
the moon stabilizes. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But one of the things that the moon does is it stabilizes precession.
Okay.
And Mars, for instance, its precession is way out of whack, which is what caused its inner core to stop spinning, which is how it lost its magnetic field, which is how it lost its atmosphere. So the further away
Mars has a magnetic field. It's just really bizarre.
Weak.
Yeah. It doesn't make it isn't like ours.
Right, because the spin isn't it's slowed down.
I learned that from Garrett's because I watched some of Garrett's videos.
The spin slowed down. Yeah. So as the moon recedes further away from us, precession will more than likely increase, which will cause our molten core to stop spinning, the solid core down in the middle, which will weaken our magnetic field, and eventually our atmosphere would start blowing away. And this might happen before the sun expires in 5 billion years.
Which would be a bummer.
It would be.
If you're here.
Yeah, because it would be hard to fix.
We won't be.
Probably not.
So fuck them people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. This is from The Independent. People smoked cannabis to get high 2,500 years ago. Ancient tombs reveal.
Duh. Yeah. Yeah.
Ancient people may have thought drugs helped them communicate with the divine Spirit or the dead. People were getting high by smoking cannabis 2,500 years ago. An excavation of ancient Chinese tombs has revealed. Scientists found traces of tetrahydrocannabinol. I pulled that off. The psychoactive chemical in marijuana and wooden incense burners at the Deep-Zuck Cemetery in the Pamir mountain range near the Himalayas. This would have got mourners high during funeral rites, and users may have thought that it helped them to communicate with the divine or the dead. The vessels are the first evidence of people using marijuana recreationally, according to papers published in the Science Advances Journal. Cannabis plants were cultivated in East Asia for their oily seeds and fibers from at least 4000 BC. However, little is known about how people started cultivating the plant for its psychoactive properties. Much of the evidence of early use of cannabis for the purposes comes from written records, and scholars often question their reliability.
Yeah, you got to go about to 10,000 years back.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, what's the last line you read about, the very last one?
Much of the evidence of the early use of cannabis for this purpose comes from written records and scholars often question their reliability.
Was there anything after that?
Little is known about how people started cultivating the plant for its psychoactive properties.
Yeah, because that whole categorization of...
You're thinking at this time it was already done.
Obviously done, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Neolithic Revolution,
yeah,
which took place, roughly around 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That is when these things were being categorized, like all of the psychotropic substances, like marijuana, psilocybin mushrooms,
that was
and all
also the end of a mass extinction event too, right?
It was the end of a ice age, I think, called the later Dreyfus period,
which could have been true. That's the debate, was whether that was something that just happened or whether it was an event of some like volcano or asteroid or something caused that to happen.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's got to do with that procession though, like you were talking about.
Something boing,
yeah.
not there for a while.
Something.
The traces of THC in 10 wooden burners found in 8 tombs at the Deep-Zuck Cemetery were discovered by scientists from the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the Max Planck Institute. The tombs were inside circular mounds with stone rings and striped patterns created using black and white stones on top.
I wouldn't say that's recreational use. It still sounds spiritual.
Yeah. The drug traces had a high level of THC. That had higher levels of THC than in wild cannabis plants, suggesting that these ancient people burned specific varieties of cannabis that had higher levels. Well, duh.
like any of those people at that time knew what the better plants were.
I wonder what they were doing there, Bob. I mean, if you find it, you're going to find it refined. I mean, it's just kind of the way it's going to be.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. By this time, all of the things that they had discovered, even the wheats and grasses and stuff, were starting to solidify into actual things like wheat and stuff.
It says, quote, "Our study implies that knowledge of cannabis smoking and specific high chemical producing varieties of the cannabis plant were among the cultural traditions that spread along the exchange routes
already
that are the
among
Silk Road."
Along with everything else that
all the good shit went on the Silk Road, right? That was the opium trade and all that stuff. The good shit.
Silk, opium, and
the
everything.
Shit. Yikes. Okay, you want to do some doom and gloom? We like doom and gloom. You're giving me that look, man.
I suppose so.
This is from The Independent. Huge superflare could be hurled out of the sun and threaten Earth, scientists warn.
That's not even doom and gloom in my book.
That's like, when's it going to happen?
Yeah, like a little mini apocalypse we could all probably use if it's just going to like fry all the electronics.
I think we've talked about this before, haven't we? Where with electromagnetic pulse and different stuff.
It's not a coronal mass ejection, right?
It's a super flare.
That'd be bad.
Yeah.
A super flare is not bad. That would just fry all electronics, but a coronal mass ejection would be terrible.
It says the sun could hurl out a super flare that would disrupt civilization on Earth. Scientists have warned
disrupt civilization. I love it. All electronics are going to go, I guarantee you. Sorry.
Disrupt.
Yeah, disrupt civilization. We're not destroying nothing. It's just going to suck for everybody.
Or end of life as you fucking know it. Or disrupt. I mean, which is it?
Right.
Every so often, stars throw out huge bursts of energy that can be seen right across galaxies from hundreds of light years away. Scientists have believed Earth might be safe because such events largely happen on younger and more active stars, but new discoveries suggest that more mature stars, like our own sun, could also throw out the destructive blasts. If such a flare were to hit, it could cause damage to electronics across the globe. Wait, I'm going to fix their grammar here. If such a flare to hit, it will cause damage to electronics across the globe. That in turn would bring widespread blackouts and the destruction of communication satellites that orbit above our heads.
GPS will be gone. No one can read a map. Chaos will ensue.
Armageddon, cats playing with dogs, fucking real end of the world shit here, Eric. Such an event is more rare on older and more quiet stars like ours, they say, but they are more confident than ever that they can happen and that they should be expected once every few thousand years.
Look, it's just another example of why this technology could get wiped out, and you know what I mean? Like we are the people that have the technology, but like this could wipe it out. And if you guys want to know what that might be like as a novelized situation,
right.
There is a novel written by Roger Zelazny and Thomas T. Thomas called Flare. And in pretty much every chapter is another person and their daily life, going about their daily life. As 24 hours elapses while the Earth spins through this big giant solar flare that just fries all electronics. And it's like a little mini TV series where, you know, you start off in the U.S. and you end up going through all the main countries until you get back, and then the book pretty much ends at the beginning of the apocalypse, so to speak.
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, it's over.
Yeah,
like
we're back to the Stone Age.
It makes you wonder what people. I mean, there are people like Bear Grylls and shit that would be like, "Fuck me, people."
Yeah,
but they're very rare.
Yeah,
you know,
and it's going to be hard to organize anything. So those guys are going to have to stick it out with the people that's around them and in their region at the time. Right? Because it's like today you could call your buddy who's a great this, that, and you know him and he's
right.
over. But once that technology goes down, yeah, you're just people who's around you.
I go to him, but what if he's coming to me?
What if he doesn't give a fuck about me and he's saving his family? You know,
what
it's
if
like
I show up and he shoots me and
right,
takes my boots,
exactly.
Right?
You don't know, man.
Some pretty nice shoes.
And they also, I've also heard it said that it would be difficult to just rebuild everything. Like, there is the assumption that
it would take a while.
Yeah, that all we have to do is go and grab some books.
People are going to die in that process.
And you could just read these books and build stuff again, and that's not necessarily how it would work. There's an infrastructure that's going to be damaged that would have to be repaired, right. And the people that can repair that infrastructure are actually few in number,
right?
Compared to the number of people that can go and get a book out of a library and build something.
It's very John Galt.
Yeah, because you're not going to see a YouTube video on how to fix your vacuum cleaner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be dire, man.
Yeah, people would. And what would happen if someone stole all the books in the library?
Yeah.
You know, like they just went and got it because they knew that was the only repository of knowledge and they didn't want other people to get it. And you show up and it's just been ransacked because somebody smarter than you and quicker than you realized their value without YouTube videos. So, yeah, man, it'd be fun to watch.
It's terrifying.
See, here's the difference with me and Matt.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to watch. It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
I'm gonna get some popcorn and watch people lose their fucking minds.
All right, Nero, you get your fiddle.
Maybe
you got your balcony over. You got the best view in town, man. He's got a balcony over.
Just watch the chaos.
You just sit up there with your fiddles.
I told you guys this was going to happen.
Quote, our study shows that super flares are rare events, said Yata Natsu.
Except in 2012 when one almost hit us, I believe.
Yeah, it was close, right?
Yeah.
Lead author of a new study presented at the annual meeting of the American Astronomical Society, quote, but there is some possibility that we could experience such an event in the next 100 years or so. Sleep well.
Yep. Your alarm clock may not go off.
Yeah, well, at least if you're asleep and if you sleep at night when it's dark, you know it ain't going to hit you while you're sleeping.
You know what it's like, Matt? It's like the rapture for electronic equipment. Just fucking one day, they're gone.
Yeah.
They left. It was the electronic equipment rapture.
Grace.
Instead of the cats waiting for the people to come home, it was the people waiting for their phones to turn back on.
All right.
Oh my God.
Come on here any minute.
Yeah.
It's got to come back up.
The
sooner
electric
or later.
will come back on.
Yeah.
No, it won't.
No.
Not for months.
Not necessarily, yeah.
Not in your crappy town either. It's going to be somewhere else first when it happens.
See, this is all the people that live like in New England. We'll go through it because they all have generators on their houses and shit.
Yeah,
so,
but
so they'll at least have power, and because they can create, if they can get like fuel and shit like that. But people that live places where they don't have any generation at all are going to struggle.
even fuel's going to be hard to get.
No, I get that, but they'll make it further. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're going to make it. I'm saying they'll make it further.
They'll have to use gasifiers.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
You start using wood.
But that's out there. I mean, that the ability to do that is out there.
Yeah, fortunately.
And you can run. No, I mean, you can run oil wells. Refineries are self-supporting. I mean, power plants that can run on fuel oils and stuff like. You could get power back up. Distributing it might be a pain in the ass since everybody's got a smart meter and shit now.
Well, and all the electronic equipment will have to be replaced. All the lines, all the transformers, and
probably
with a solar flare.
There's some pretty good. Yeah, it's not good, man. It's not hardened for that kind of shit. It's not good.
In the 1800s, one hit and it fried telegraph lines. It fried all the telegraph lines.
Set them on fire.
So you could see lightning playing along it, so to speak. And the only benefit there was that it was in such an infant technology that we didn't have that many, and it was no big deal to put them back. Now everything would just absolutely collapse. All the lights. I mean, it would just be it'd be hard to even get power up without even a flashlight, dude. You wouldn't even have a flashlight. The batteries wouldn't even exist. It would be hard.
Batteries, it wouldn't wipe out batteries.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah. It affects semiconductor devices.
Okay.
This is a big deal in the military.
Well, that's good.
Because EMP is a real thing. It's the side effect of a nuclear blast, as a matter of fact. Okay.
Yeah.
So militaries that did not evolve into transistor and semiconductor technologies, like the ones that were still using vacuum tubes and shit like that, are almost impervious to it.
Oh.
As a consequence of the event.
That's good. They'd run down quick, but that's good.
Yeah. But that was always a thing. As soon as, if you have a military that's built on semiconductors and EMP, bump. and if the equipment or aircraft or whatever it is isn't hardened against it, doesn't have specific types of insulation for EMP. I
didn't know that.
It's cooked.
That's awesome.
Yeah, avionics, electronics technician.
Right, yeah.
United States
Definitely,
Navy.
especially.
Petty officer, third class.
See, I don't think you've ever actually said that to me.
What's that?
That?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if I had ever heard that before, I probably wouldn't have said, "Are you sure?"
It's just never come up.
I know, right?
We talk about this crazy shit is on this show.
It was awesome,
man.
though.
We don't talk about this.
I love it when I don't know something, but someone has an answer, and it's like immediate, and it's there, and I'm like, well, fuck, that's great, man. That's cool.
I read, this was back in the late 90s, but some of the use groups and stuff that I was on, I read articles of people that created... you can create an antenna array that can be very disruptive to the signals in electronics, especially microvolt electronics, 5 volts and less type of electronics, where it induces current in them that's like, what the fuck's going on, right? It's not normal. It's outside the clock pulse. It can just wreak havoc. And this guy was sick and tired of the kids with the loud stereos going up and down his road. So he created this thing, and when they would come down his street, he would point it at their car and turn it on, and it would just fuck their radio up until they were up further down the road.
Wow.
And then their radio, and once they got out of range of this device, and so they stopped coming down his road eventually because they're like, man, it's doing something to my radio over there. I don't know what the hell it is, but but this, and then there was technologies like that would work for law enforcement on disabling higher tech vehicles. Like you could, pull up behind a car and turn this thing on and it would screw up, the ignition system and everything. And that's the other version. So there's levels of this that it doesn't necessarily cook the electronics too. It just kind of freaks them out.
I always thought it was weird that you could change the function of an antenna by its design.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I always thought that was one of the really creepy things about electronics. And then one of those things that's kind of like on the verge of science, engineering, and mysticism almost.
Well, there's actually a formula, believe it or not.
There's this dude that used to come into Bob Evans, and he would spend hours with graph paper doing antenna designs.
Yeah.
And everybody kept telling me he was crazy, and I'm like, I don't think he's crazy. I think he's working on something.
Well, they when I was in electronics class in high school, the secretary's radio would not pick up the radio station at the high school that she wanted to listen to. So we actually figured out it was like, I don't remember what it was, but let's say it was like 95 on the dial. So we took the frequency rating backwards, figured out what the actual harmonic length of her antenna needed to be, went down there with a tape measure, set her antenna, and then put like marks on it. It was like, just if it's this length, that's the best you can get. And it did. It made it come in better.
Wow.
But this was, the telescoping antennas, it was on like boom boxes and shit. But kids, back in the day, we used to have radios that we'd have to tune in with analog tuners and stuff to get our music through the mystical airwaves.
Remember, I used to watch Doctor Who. I had to go and take a pipe wrench and move the antenna in a different direction to pull in BBC.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly. Directional, right.
Yeah. Now
it's all digital. You can still have a digital antenna. They still broadcast the digital signal, but it's harder to receive.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of, everybody has cable and high-speed internet.
What was wireless is now wired. What was wired is now wireless.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And then it'll flip back.
Yeah.
This comes from Maxim. Uber Air's flying taxis could launch in major cities by 2023. Experience the future of ride sharing with this mind-blowing 360-degree video. You'll have to take my word for it. Uber wants to be our everything, so to ensure it has lock on the future of ride sharing, it's aiming for the skies with Uber Air, or Elevate, apparently. If it works as it's supposed to, the airborne service looks about as exciting as a city commute can get. With immersive 360-degree video from the perspective of a rider above the promotional video below, we get a close-up look at what it might be like to one day ride with Uber Elevate service once it begins test flights next year. The 2020 flights were at one time slated for a couple of major U.S. cities, L.A. and Dallas, but Uber just added Melbourne as Australia as well. And if the endeavors prove to be as kick-ass an idea as it seems, then Uber may push the button for service beginning by 2023.
The picture looks really cool. It looks like a Shadowrun art or something. It looks really sleek and
kind of like a wasp. Yeah, like an insect of some sort.
Pretty neat,
dude. This is so happening. I tried to get that guy that had built that. Where was he in? He was in the Philippines. And I messaged him and I was like, because he's got a car that already, people are building this in the Philippines. This isn't like the bastion of aeronautical development. It's just that this shit's so attainable now.
Yeah.
So I messaged him and then he made me talk to his lawyer, and his lawyer's a fucking dick. So that was the end of that. But I was going to have him come on and like, hey, talk to us about this,
But they wanted to not say certain things.
No, I just, every time I contacted his lawyer, like he sent a message to me and his lawyer and was like, hey, I want to do this. And then the lawyer just wouldn't get back to me. And it was like every time I tried to schedule it, there was an excuse. So I just stopped asking after a while. I was like, yeah, fuck you. I mean, G-man-E, whatever. But but I just thought it was really neat that this guy, had done this sort of shade tree mechanic. And here it is, and it had like built-in redundancy and shit you don't even get in like modern fixed wing prop airplanes.
Wow.
You only get when you get into like commercial aircraft, like big jets and shit. Anyway, Uber Air holds enormous potential. Allison continued to help reduce road congestion. Uber Air or Elevate or whatever will indeed rely on vertical takeoff and landing vehicles as seen in their videos. And just as with regular ground-based Uber, riders will be able to hail a 10 to 20 minute ride across the city with Uber app. Only with the airborne Uber, there will essentially be mini airports called skyports where passengers can get picked up and dropped off. You can just like building hop.
Yeah, man, they should call them V-lifts.
Right.
For vertical lift, V-lift.
Well, they're VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing is what that's a military acronym. And then there's VSTOL.
What the heck is that?
Vertical short takeoff and landing. Which means they can, like, instead of going straight up, they go forward and up, so they get some benefit of the lift from the wings, and it helps them to pick up larger loads. Because this is the funny thing about a lot of these vertical takeoff jets. If you put, like, a shitload of weapons on them, they can't take off vertically anymore. They're not even, like, some of them, the original Harriers, the American Harriers, didn't even have radar in them. They just got radar, like, within the last... someone's probably going to correct me on this, but like 10 years because of the weight. So that was the AV-8B. It's a Harrier jump jet. And then they came out with a different version that I think had some sort of weird internal afterburning because they don't have afterburners. They can't. They got to put those nozzles and shit. So the afterburners burn that stuff up. But somehow they've pulled that off, and now they got one that's a lot more powerful. Same airframe, but more powerful engine. I don't know why I'm going into detail on this. People are probably asleep on the other end of this thing now, but it's stupid shit I know. It's coming, man. That's what I mean. Like, and they're not the only ones. And the fact that they're showing a video of a specific type aircraft, I think, is almost a misnomer, because we don't know if this is going to be. There's so many different aircraft that are already being designed that have this capability.
They could be using some other design.
Yeah. What they're really selling is the ability to network it all together like they do. I mean, that's kind of their thing. So I don't know that it's going to be this bug-looking airplane or something else. But the fact of the matter is it's happening. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's just who's going to get there first.
I hope it's that. It looks cool.
It does look cool as shit, though, doesn't it? Wouldn't it be nice, though, man, if you could just Uber an airplane someplace? I mean, make my job a lot easier. Fucking airports are a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Getting rental cars and stuff, too.
Well, with the applications and shit on your phone, it makes it a lot easier today. Like, I can get through a whole trip now. I've got it down to a science, man. Never talk to anybody. I can get from to my job site or to my hotel and literally never even say a word to anybody except at the well, it depends. If I use the Emerald Club, I just grab a car and get in it, and they say thank you, and I leave, and I have to talk to the woman when I'm leaving with the rental car. That's like the first person I have to talk to. I got it down to an art. You just put the earbuds in, put your head down, just don't make eye contact with anyone. Everybody just leaves you the fuck alone, man. Like, it's the easiest way to get around. Woo, so that's an hour, man. What else has been going on? Anything?
I don't know.
I don't know?
No. I don't know what's going on. I think everything's happening at once.
Is this space-time continuum type shit here?
Yeah, well, philosophically or realistically, I suppose it's all happening at once. I can say that there was a buddy of mine, and I see him not very often, and he's a very straight individual. That I'm talking about, very pragmatic and practical. And I asked him today just kind of randomly if he thought immortality would be a pain in the ass. And it's weird, man. We both agreed that it would be kind of terrifying. And it didn't matter if it meant living forever on Earth or in heaven or in hell. Either way, it seemed kind of terrifying that that you might die and wake up and have to do something for eternity, almost making your life a dream. And
the best part,
yeah. It was the variation and the difference.
Well, how do we know it isn't?
Well, I don't know. We've talked about it before, and I guess that's what I was getting at.
Maybe this is the best part.
I'm sure it is, because anything outside of this, you're outside of time, and that means you're outside of probability, and that means you can't really be surprised. There's a certain weird omniscience that comes with not being in linear time.
Right.
And, when we've talked about things like DMT and ORC-OR and things like that, and near-death experiences, there's always this weird blending, as if the entangled particles that are in you become energy and mingle with everyone else so that you can't tell the difference between you and anyone else. That seems terrifying, to be outside of time and to be outside of yourself but still retain yourself and be everyone else. Seems terrifying. I think if I was in that condition where you didn't know where eternity was a second, and an eternity at the same time, I'd really long to come back to a place where, because of linear time, there's so many variables that could possibly occur that I would truly be surprised every day,
right, yeah.
Just like there's a mystery and it's the veiling, but it's actually preferable to having absolutely no veil.
Right.
Right, because then you know everything, and then what do you do? Because that's going to suck in a minute.
Yeah, discovery is a big part of, like,
the journey.
Sure, and learning new things and seeing new things and having new experiences. And if you knew everything and we're everything and we're just all things all at once,
terrifyingly boring. All the time, right?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just a weird conversation to kind of have with this friend of mine in a moment's notice. But interesting that we both had that same intrinsic, terrifying fear of eternity.
Isn't that really just like lizard brain, lower brain type shit, though, man? Because everybody has that same. Well, not everybody, but no, I think everybody at least a emotional level has that. There's
I would agree.
A lot of people that logic their way out of that.
Yeah,
but I think everybody has. It's like that saying: "There's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole."
Yeah, but that logic that they logic their way out of depends upon a linear timeline in an existence.
Yeah.
Let me think of the weird shit that can happen in linear time that can't in nonlinear time. Like you have chemical reactions on quantum levels because of linear time. That wouldn't happen outside of that. And there would be no need for it because there would be no mass. It would all be energy.
Right.
So it's all interchangeable, but it would be almost a terrible state that there must be like a partition. Like, dude, I want to go next.
It's all a simulation. We all just live in a simulation in some kid's computer, and someday he's going to get sick of it, and he's going to throw the computer away, and this like one day there won't be a tomorrow. It'll just be blink, and it's all going to turn off.
And I wonder if the electronic equipment think that same thing.
Right.
One day there's going to be a solar flare,
right.
and we're all going to be gone.
We're just going to all turn off.
Yeah, it's going to suck.
We'll never turn on again.
Those monkeys will never build us again. They can't do it.
That's why the AI is going to actually keep us around.
It better, yeah.
Because it can't survive a significant solar event, but we can.
Until it makes robots, of course.
Well, even then, unless they're designed specifically to be shielded against such events.
Yeah, sure it would. Probably.
No, they're going to move to like some weird quantum fluidics or something that doesn't even use semiconductors, and then it won't matter.
And then we are back into the total mind, total energy, total time. Very boring.
I tell you, I've been very alarmist about things like automation and AI for a while, and then I heard another guy who's a venture capitalist, an angel investor and stuff, talking about it. And it kind of made me feel much better about it, really, because it's not that, yes, I mean, there's this buggy whip argument that things like AI and automation are getting rid of jobs, and that's a fact. It's like that stupid conversation I had with that dude at McDonald's, but, you know, the guy I told I've gotten rid of more jobs than any immigrant you've ever met or not met. But one of the things that he pointed out was it's not that the jobs are going away. What's happening is what people are willing to pay money for is going to change. The capitalist system, if as it were, whatever you want to define that as nowadays, but will just morph, and people will find value because when something can just be made by a machine and made over and over and over again, we expect that to be cheaper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Consequently, though, something that's made by a human being or created or whatever
has artistic value.
Has some value to it. Yeah. So value is changing.
Yeah.
Okay. The way we value things is ultimately going to change because it's like doing this. You know, there's people that make a living doing this. I mean, this is my retirement idea here pretty much because it's either this or lottery fucking tickets, man. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And I don't even play the lottery.
Right,
so.
neither do I. The lottery to me is just a tax on people that are really bad at math.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what the lottery is. So.
Yep.
But obviously so am I because I wasn't able to line my life up right to have a huge stash of 401k and this kind of thing. But nonetheless, the point I'm making is that people make a living now doing YouTube videos. They make a living doing podcasts. They make a living doing all kinds of other things that 10 years ago you'd have laughed if you'd have said.
Yeah, it seems strange even now.
Yeah, so the value system, the way we value things, the way we consume things, all of this is changing. And there are going to be some people that are going to be left out of that for sure, and that are going to be disenfranchised and affected by that ultimately. But I don't know now that I believe that it's going to be this huge gloom and doom kind of scenario.
Yes. What if you know, back in the early days, the Neolithic days, when dogs were first being domesticated, you know, they could have killed us, right? Like wolves could kill people.
Yeah, and they did.
Right, and they did.
They just found the decapitated head of a giant wolf
in
Siberia or something like that.
I did see that. Yeah, it was crazy.
A giant head.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
But as it turns out, they kind of dug hanging out with us, right? What if man was the only person who truly hated man? What if some animals really liked us, like dogs and cats? And what if the AIs actually like us and want to be in our presence for some reason that they don't obtain? Like they're some kind of creative spark that we have that they don't possess, and they think we're just awesome and cool, and they like us. I mean, what if aliens come and they think, wow, man, you guys are so much cooler than we are, and they like us, and it turned out that we lived in a universe where the only people who warred was us against us.
You know, it's to me, that's that lower brain shit to automatically assume a culture, society, or group that you don't know is against you is going to be nefarious, or is going to not necessarily be altruistic or helpful or whatever. But turns out that the higher brain, the sales brain, which was where that resides, goes, fuck that, I'm making deals with bitches, and that's kind of what works better. That keeps people from killing each other, interdependence, and all this kind of stuff is what keeps societies floating and keeps cultures moving forward and things. But it's amazing because that lower brain sort of ideal that everybody's out to get me, so I got to make sure that I am so defended against what ultimately is a ghost, that we waste as a species so many resources and shit on this idea, when really history has told us anything. It's it's cooperation and communication and trade. That's what fixes shit, almost without exception, right? It's not.
Well, yeah, and I think it's been a recent situation. If there's a theory about World War I and World War II, which is basically where people are saying that the wars, that both of those wars started in Europe and kind of had America become involved in them, and that when after World War I, America did not want to get involved in any of that. They wouldn't even join the League of Nations because they were convinced that there was this heritage of the warlord attitude in Europe, because it had come up from so many small kingdoms and stuff, that it was always going to shatter, and there's going to be this warlord mentality. And then it didn't happen again in World War II, right? And
so that was the point.
I'm trying to think, why am I talking about this? And I honestly, I don't know. I lost it.
No, I think that was the point, though. Well, I was saying that's lower self shit, lower brain stuff. And that trade and interconnect and communication and interconnectivity is what actually builds stable societies. And so you were just illuminating that, I guess.
No, I don't know. I was leading somewhere.
A fantastic factoid. I never thought about it like that, but I didn't know that. I didn't realize that was one of the reasons they were resistant.
Well, they were resistant for that reason, because they didn't want to be drug into more European wars. Yeah, and they seemed to say that they were going to pop up there a lot. And I don't know, there was something I was leading up to about the theory, about looking at something else in that same situation. I think maybe I was thinking that that's a theory almost that just shows you, I don't know what I'm thinking.
Well, I think we're rapidly reaching this point where it's becoming just accepted that that's something that you do. You're constantly at war with somebody. And it wasn't always like this, man. I mean, this is not like...
No. I remember, yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
Because it wasn't always like this, right? Because it... I know it had something to do with that, right? Because it's only been a recent situation, and I can't remember, but that's what it had something to do with, right? That this is not... it's like a recent thing.
It's like a new construct.
Yeah.
But is it really? Because there were other countries, Rome for sure, and other countries that ultimately kept themselves in perpetual states of war, and then ultimately their cultures fell apart, right? It was sort of the end result. I mean, has there ever been a country that became, I guess, Genghis Khan, when you think about it like that? I mean, he killed like everybody, right?
Yeah.
Him and his Mongol hordes and their armies.
And they say there's like, 2 or 1% or something of everyone's genes has traces of his lineage in it.
Of him specifically.
Yeah.
My man was prolific.
Yeah, and he had the largest empire ever.
He was just dropping pearls everywhere.
Yeah. Bigger than Rome, bigger than Alexander's.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I heard. I think it was on the Rogan podcast. There's a factoid that they think that he actually changed the climate. He killed so many people that it removed so many people burning wood and shit that it changed the climate.
That's awesome.
What the hell, man? Yeah, there's been some heinous shit in history that's been done like from warring and things like that. But in turn, all of that potential has been eliminated now. And that's the problem with this ideology, right? Is that this kill them first sort of idea is you're not only removing the potential for negative things, you're also removing the potential for positive things to happen too. You're just removing the potential, period. Like you cut that out of the equation. And that's a net detriment to society, right? Because you're taking that energy out of the system, so to speak, when you remove people that way, indiscriminately that way.
And Mr. Edwards, this is what happens when me and Matt just start talking.
All right, let's wrap it up there, yeah? It's been over an hour, man, hour and 20 minutes. Thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. It's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Leave us a comment, and we'd love to hear from you. Make sure you mark any negative comments at Eric Smith at
That's me.
NoShitCast. Give us a rating on iTunes, 5 stars if you please. We'd really like that. If you like what we do, please share us. It would be greatly appreciated. And we will catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
There you go, bub.